Life is too short for long-term grudges. The first step is to establish that something is possible, then probability will occur. When Henry Ford made cheap, reliable cars, people said, "Nah." That was a huge bet he made, and it worked. Most people can learn a lot more than they think they can. They sell themselves short without trying. Don't be afraid of new arenas. My mentality is that of a samurai. I would rather commit seppuku than fail. It's okay to have your eggs in one basket as long as you control what happens to that basket. Engineering is the closest thing to magic that exists in the world. Great companies are built on great products. If you get up in the morning and think the future is going to be better, it is a bright day. Otherwise, it's not. When I was in college, I wanted to be involved in things that would change the world. I started SpaceX with the expectation of failure. You want to do things you're passionate about, but also are useful to other people. With artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon. I'm just trying to think about the future and not be sad. I think it's very important to have a feedback loop where you're constantly thinking about what you've done and how you could be doing it better. I could either watch it happen or be a part of it. That's my lesson for taking a vacation. Vacation will kill you. Humans need to be a multi-planet species. Patience is a virtue, and I'm learning patience. It's a tough lesson. America is the spirit of human exploration distilled. Being an entrepreneur is like eating glass and staring into the abyss of death. I think it is possible for ordinary people to choose to be extraordinary. Some people don't like change, but you need to embrace change if the alternative is disaster. to figure out how to have the things we love and not destroy the world. Physics is really figuring out how to discover new things that are counterintuitive, like quantum mechanics. It's really counterintuitive. I'm a Silicon Valley guy. I just think people from Silicon Valley can do anything. No, I don't ever give up. I'd have to be dead or completely incapacitated. Pay attention to negative feedback and solicit it, particularly from friends. Hardly anyone does that, and it's incredibly helpful. If you're trying to create a company, it's like baking a cake. You have to have all the ingredients in the right proportion. I don't create companies for the sake of creating companies, but to get things done. If you need inspiring words, don't do it. Any product that needs a manual to work is broken. Talent is extremely important. It's like a sports team. The team that has the best individual player will often win. But then there's a multiplier from how those players work together and the strategy they employ. I would like to die on Mars, just not on impact. Nobody ever changed the world on 40 hours a week. The extension of life beyond Earth is the most important thing we can do as a species. I don't spend my time pontificating about high-concept things. I spend my time solving engineering and manufacturing problems. Land on Mars, a round-trip ticket, $500,000. It can be done. Failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you are not innovating enough. I wouldn't say I have a lack of fear. In fact, I'd like my fear emotion to be less, because it's very distracting and fries my nervous system. If we drive down the cost of transportation in space, we can do great things. If something's important enough, you should try, even if the probable outcome is failure. Weighing too much on someone's talent and not someone's personality. I think it matters whether someone has a good heart. If something is important enough, even if the odds are against you, you should still do it. Life on Earth must be about more than just solving problems. It's got to be something inspiring, even if it is vicarious. I think it would be great to be born on Earth and to die on Mars, just hopefully not at the point of impact. What I'm trying to do is to maximize the probability of the future being better. I don't think it's a good idea to plan to sell a company. Persistence is very important. You should not give up unless you are forced to give up. If you think back to the beginning of cell phones, laptops, or really any new technology, it's always expensive. Constantly seek criticism. A well-thought-out critique of what you're doing is as valuable as gold. Really, the only thing that makes sense is to strive for greater collective enlightenment. You get paid in direct proportion to the difficulty of problems you solve. Why is there no flat Mars society? For me, it was never about money, but solving problems for the future of humanity. I think that's the single best piece of advice. Constantly think about how you could be doing things better and questioning yourself. As a child, I would just question things. We have this handy fusion reactor in the sky called the sun. You don't have to do anything. It just works. It shows up every day. One of the really tough things is figuring out what questions to ask. Once you figure out the question, then the answer is relatively easy. People often mistake technology for a static picture. It's less like a picture and more like a movie. It's the velocity of technology innovation that matters. It's the acceleration. For my part, I will never give up, and I mean never. There's a tremendous bias against taking risks. Everyone is trying to optimize their ass covering. Constantly think about how you could be doing things better. In order for us to have a future that's exciting and inspiring, It has to be one where we're a space-bearing civilization. People should pursue what they're passionate about. That will make them happier than pretty much anything else. People work better when they know what the goal is and why. It is important that people look forward to coming to work in the morning and enjoy working. You want to be extra rigorous about making the best possible thing you can. Find everything that's wrong with it and fix it. Seek negative feedback, particularly from friends. You have to be pretty driven to make it happen. Otherwise, you will just make yourself miserable. I think it matters whether someone has a good heart. When you struggle with a problem, that's when you understand it. I think we are at the dawn of a new era in commercial space exploration. Mars is the only place in the solar system where it's possible for life to become multiplanetarian. You should be innovating so fast that you're invalidating your prior patents. You should take the approach that you're wrong. Your goal is to be less wrong. If the future does not include being out there among the stars and being a multi-planet species, I find that incredibly depressing. You want to have a future where you're expecting things to be better, not one where you're expecting things to be worse. My motivation for all my companies has been to be involved in something that I thought would have a significant impact on the world. I just want to retire before I go senile, because if I don't retire before I go senile, then I'll do more damage than good at that point. I think there are too many smart people pursuing internet stuff, finance, and law. That is part of the reason why we haven't seen as much innovation. I tend to approach things from a physics framework, and physics teaches you to reason from first principles rather than by analogy. It is remarkable how many things you can explode. I'm lucky I have all my fingers. If humanity doesn't land on Mars in my lifetime, I would be very disappointed. We're running the most dangerous experiment in history right now. which is to see how much carbon dioxide the atmosphere can handle before there is an environmental catastrophe. The idea of lying on a beach as my main thing just sounds like the worst. It sounds horrible to me. I would go bonkers. I would have to be on serious drugs. I'd be super duper bored. I like high intensity. Starting and growing a business is as much about the innovation, drive, and determination of the people who do it as it is about the product they sell. The odds of me coming into the rocket business, not knowing anything about rockets, not having ever built anything. I mean, I would have to be insane if I thought the odds were in my favor. I came to the conclusion that we should aspire to increase the scope and scale of human consciousness in order to better understand what questions to ask. Really, the only thing that makes sense is to strive for greater collective enlightenment. Brand is just a perception, and perception will match reality over time. Sometimes it will be ahead, other times it will be behind. But brand is simply a collective impression some have about a product. Many things are improbable, only a few are impossible.